Okay, so we're going to move on to part two here. Um, January 26th, I think it is. Is that Australia Day?
This is Australia Day.
So that's, in terms of contemporary Australia, that's a pretty big holiday and a big event. But I know it has a very different meaning for Aboriginal and Indigenous people. So do you want to talk about that?
So Australia Day on the 26th of January is the official day that Captain Cook arrived in Australia, and,
Yep.
and I guess a lot of people celebrate Australia Day because they think that's the day that they founded Australia and became a nation here.
Mm-hmm.
For us, it means a completely different thing. It means Sorry Day, and
Right.
the reason why we call it that is because that's the day that colonisation did happen and a lot of our people were slaughtered,
Right.
our women raped,
Yeah.
our men killed, and we believe that celebrating that day is an actual, I don't know, it's I don't know how to put it, but it's
Well,
more like an
reopened the
insult.
wounds, I guess.
Yeah, it's an insult to injury, really,
Right.
where there's no comprehension of what our people went through,
Right.
and for people to celebrate that day, it's hurtful for a lot of Indigenous Australians across Australia.
It has actually come up for me a couple of times living in the US when people who, have a bit of awareness of what goes on in other countries have said, oh, happy Australia Day, and I'm like, I always use that as a bit of an opportunity to say, well, actually, do you know what that's about? It's like basically the day white people invaded this land.
And people, a lot of white Australians say to us to get over it, or can't you move on, Anzac Day. We hold Anzac Day to commemorate our soldiers that went over and fought for Australia. But do we ask them to, to forget that day, or it's the same for us. Like, yes, their people died in that war, and we had our people that went across to that war as well and died. But it's the same sort of thing. They have a day to celebrate, to commemorate the Anzacs, and we just like Australia Day to maybe have a new aspect on it to commemorate our people.
Yeah, I guess we could at least have a dual focus on something, be a little more respectful to what was going on before white people came here.
Definitely.
In regards to cultural issues and cultural events, are there things that you attend during the year that significant?
There is one year that across the board, all across Australia, it's NAIDOC Week, which is National Aboriginal and Islander Day of celebration. So that week is where every Indigenous person across Australia joins together for a whole week to celebrate our culture.
And there are different events all across the country, I imagine.
Yeah, that's right. So here in Toowoomba we have our whole week of events here, but everyone often goes down to Brisbane on the Friday, and people come from everywhere there just to celebrate.
Right.
So that's a really important week across our. And we also have where we take our kids out back out to the country, out to St. George, and my uncles and aunties will take the kids out and teach them of culture, connection to country, connection to land.
When you were growing up, were your parents very involved in that respect in terms of teaching you about your history and all of that?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I was taught my culture from a young age growing up, and I've done the same with my children.
Yeah.
So culture and connection to country is very important for us because in Aboriginal culture we look at the land as our mother.
Right.
And our mother provides everything for us.
Mm-hmm.
So as you can realise with colonisation and the way that mining and the way that the land's been changed is a big impact on Indigenous culture.
Yeah.
Not so much in a regional area, where you're in a rural area or a rural area. You've got tribes that are still there that are living off the land, and right now the government are trying to kick people off that land, off their own country, and move them into the cities.
Mm-hmm.
So they've gone to extents of cutting off water supplies
to try to drive people
drive people out and try to make them move off country, but they don't realise that country is your home, is your heart, is your soul. And for all full-blood Aboriginal people, you take that away, you take your soul away.
Yeah.
and so that's that's the extent that governments are going through right now to remove people off their land so they can access mining rights. So it's sad. It's sad.
Yeah, and very complicated,
Very complicated.
psychologically, emotionally, socially.
Yeah, definitely.
It's another 5 minutes up. Thanks, Stacey.
No worries.